Welcome to Suite 301. Thank you for joining us today on the first day of spring. Here in Pittsburgh, we're expected to get, I believe, 1 to 3 inches of snow, maybe even more. So that's always great. But we are officially live on Facebook. You can now watch all of our broadcasts on our Suite 301 page in our Facebook group pages. And also remember to follow our Facebook groups and Twitter for the latest news. Also subscribe to the YouTube channel Cold Club Sports for videos from around our leagues and to also watch previous episodes of Suite 301. We are going to get started right away with the softball NCSA. Get Savannah on the line here to talk about all things going on with softball.
Hello.
Hey, Savannah. Welcome to Suite 301. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. As I was telling all of our viewers, we're in the midst of a snowstorm on the first day of spring. So
wow.
It's always good news. But so let's talk softball. How are things? I know we're really into the heart of the season, and I believe we have even more teams clinching playoff spots. So just give us a rundown of how things are going in softball.
Yeah, we're definitely in the heart of it. We've got 65 teams that are supposed to play this coming weekend. But like you said, you guys are in the midst of a snowstorm, so I'm not sure how that's going to affect our North Atlantic and New England regions. But we've got quite a few teams slated to clinch a playoff berth depending upon how these series go this coming weekend. So I'm hoping that we can get the majority of these in. With that being said, Naval Academy clinched their playoff berth a couple weeks ago, and they're the only ones so far this spring that have clinched, in addition to the two from the fall, Sacred Heart and Kentucky. So this weekend's going to be a huge weekend for us in terms of clinching playoff teams. But we've had some exciting shakeups. First year as a team, San Diego State University takes 2 of 3 from Grand Canyon University, who was a World Series team last year. It's looking like they're going to receive that World Series bid for the Pacific South team. So definitely an exciting season for them. Since it's their first season in the league, they'll be more than likely making that trip to Georgia this year. So
that's awesome. Good for them.
Yeah, it's crazy and exciting. So.
Well, let's talk about the polls. When was the last one to come out? When's the next one come out? Any surprises?
Yeah, so we do a monthly poll. The March poll was released last week. The next one will be released in April. And we still have, the 17-1 Naval Academy at number 1. They're rightfully so in that position. So I think a lot of people have eyes on them. And then the returning national champions, Arkansas State, they're at number 2. So no huge surprises there. We had a couple big jumps. Florida State jumping up from 12 to 5, and ECU jumping up from 16 to 10, and rightfully so because these teams have won quite a few games in the spring already. So looking forward to seeing what they can do the rest of the season. And San Diego State popping in, not ranked at all. They're in at 13. It's exciting to see that, and obviously their success is being recognized by the panel. So I know they're doing their job.
Nice. Now let's talk real briefly about any postseason updates. We all know the World Series. It's in its home away from home down in Columbus, Georgia. But as far as regionals and things like that go, are there any updates with that? I'm assuming most of the regionals, if not all, are finalized. But any updates as far as those things go?
Everything is completely finalized. Everybody will be going back to where they were last year, except for the Mid-Atlantic. That's going to be hosted in a brand new location. Crazy enough as it sounds, Naval Academy just clinched their Mid-Atlantic North conference title, and they're actually hosting the regional playoff this year. So super excited to bring that event to Annapolis. The school and the city are super behind it, and they're excited to have the Mid-Atlantic regional playoff coming there. But everybody else will be where they were last year, but everything's pretty much the same. So,
okay, cool.
Excited to the fact that that's happening a month from now is crazy.
It flies by. It really, really does. It's crazy. I know, like the D2 regionals.
20-something more teams that need to clinch.
Yeah. It's wild, but it is what it is, and we're used to it at this point. But is there any other I guess, housekeeping things, softball teams need to be aware of getting rosters in?
The huge piece is our roster freeze. Roster freeze is April 1st.
Okay.
So teams need to be very aware of that. There will be no exceptions made, no matter how much you beg. April 1st is the roster freeze deadline. So I encourage every single team to please just go on the front end of the website, click your roster, and just look at it. And make sure all the girls are listed. If there's an issue, you're not seeing somebody on there, please email me immediately so that we can make sure that we get as many girls activated as possible. You have to send in their academic letter. They have to complete the player registration. It's not something that can just be done usually in 24 hours. So
Absolutely.
It would be best if you could take a look at that today.
Yeah, I mean, we'll kind of touch on that with baseball as well. But, I mean, soon as that calendar, in your case, changes to April 2nd, even if it's 12:01 a.m.,
Yep.
On April 2nd, unfortunately, it's too late. So, and we don't make any exceptions to that. So, yeah, it is very important. It's a very easy task just to look at your roster. And if Jane Doe isn't there, get on Jane to get her registration done and get her on the roster. So,
All right.
All right, Savannah, anything else happening that viewers should be
Not a whole lot. I mean, I'm excited. I know Trace has got an update for us on how the spring training softball event went, so I'm going to let her talk about all that. But that was a very exciting event, so
Perfect.
I'm sure everybody's eager to hear how that went.
All right, Savannah, thank you so much for your time. Good luck this weekend. Hopefully the weather holds out, and we'll have some more teams clinching postseason berths for your next episode of Sweet 301. So thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
All right, see ya. So lots of things happening in softball, as Savannah alluded to. We're going to get Tracy on the line, and bear with me. I have a big, long phone number. What's actually just a regular phone number, but it's going to take me a while. You have music playing or anything like that? We will get Tracy on the line. She is currently down in Tampa running our spring training event.
Hello.
Is this Tracy Reardon?
Is this Christian Smith?
It is. Welcome to Suite 301. How are you?
It's very different being on a phone call instead of just sitting right there with you chatting it up.
I know. It's not the same, is it?
No, it's not, especially when there's a tornado warning in the area.
Yeah, stay safe. But I did get, I think I heard Garrett say something about that. So what's the update there? Is there any big news? What's going on? Just bad weather, obviously?
Yeah, we were supposed to get thunderstorms today, but luckily the game that we had early this morning was able to finish up right before the rain came through, and I think we just have a tornado watch through about 7 or 8 o'clock tonight. So hopefully the games that we have going on tomorrow won't be affected.
Okay. So, yeah, I think I saw on the schedule, games tomorrow, and then you're pretty wide open for the next couple of days. So if it's going to rain, I guess wait till the games are finished for those this current week. But we want to talk to you about softball spring training, how that all went. We just talked to Savannah about everything else happening in the softball world. Just want to get your firsthand take of how the softball tournament went down in Tampa.
Yeah. So we had 6 teams actually play in the tournament, and then Iowa came down as well to kind of play our teams throughout the week. Their baseball team was also there this week, so they were able to kind of pick up some non-conference games earlier in the week once the teams had arrived in Tampa. But we had UConn, Air Force, Rutgers, Northern Illinois, Florida, and Nebraska all through for the pool play games. And, it's teams, obviously, that they wouldn't see during the regular season, which they were all very excited about. And Northern Illinois used to be our free agent team because their whole team didn't come down, but they actually made it so that they could all come down this year as a full team and play. So I think that kind of shows how fun and how much they have enjoyed coming down, that they decided to make it a team effort this year and sign up as a full squad and kind of take on the teams and have the games count towards their record.
Okay, cool. So it was a successful event.
It was very successful. The championship game was a rematch from last year. Air Force versus Florida, and that's why we kind of put them in two separate pools, because we kind of figured that if they weren't the championship game, they would meet somewhere in the elimination rounds anyway. And it just so happened to be a rematch, and Florida reclaimed their title this year. But Air Force said they'll be coming back next year to see who could take the best 2 out of 3. So.
There you go. Now let's talk about the baseball event down in Tampa. I know Alex is out in Henderson, Nevada, for the Spring Training West event, and that's starting today, correct?
Yeah, he's live tweeting from the NCBA account for the Metro State and University of Denver game.
Okay,
that's currently
cool.
going on. So
okay.
Sure, he'll give updates for the game that also starts later today, or later today their time.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. And then let us, make sure, all you teams out there, especially on the West Coast, are following Alex, following our Twitter to get updates on that. I believe he's going to be doing some live videos and things like that, just so teams out West can kind of get a feel for how awesome of an event it is, and hopefully next year get the ball rolling even more and having more teams out there. So stay tuned for that. Let's really get into the East Spring Training. I know we just finished a really, really busy week down there. How are things going? Are there any big surprise wins? Any teams that you guys noticed look really good? Kind of give us a recap of Spring Training East so far.
Sure. So week 1 we had 17 teams, including our free agent team, which was Northeastern University, basically.
Yep.
And our staff members who took some time out of their schedule to kind of try and play again.
Yes.
Week 1, I think Penn State D1 went undefeated.
They did.
So that was great for them. And I think the matchup, honestly, that sticks out to me over the past 2 weeks is the fact that Michigan Tech beat Iowa State, a D3 team beating a D1 team, 6-2. I
saw that.
So all of us kind of looked at each other and said, okay, you can't, just because they're a D3 team doesn't mean, they aren't competitive. And I don't think Iowa State was really ready for them to come out and be as good of a ball team as they showed themselves to be that night over at the Plant City High School field where they were at. And then the anticipated matchup of Ohio State versus Florida. Ohio State won 13-11. And then the USF Ohio State D2 game, Ohio State took that one 4-2. But we played 66 games of baseball in 5 days, and I think I speak for all the staff that were down here that we don't ever, want to do that again for the next year.
It's a bad problem to have.
Yeah.
Or a good problem to have.
Yes, we'll wait till next March to tackle something like that again.
Yes.
But
we got through it.
Weather was definitely on our side. We had one morning where things got pushed back a little bit, but other than that, the fact that we got 66 games in 5 days is a feat in itself. So props to the teams for, making sure that they were on time and getting from one field to another over in Plant City. I know can be kind of frustrating if your game goes long or you're waiting on another team to show up, and they were all just really great with trying to keep everything on track. So props to you guys, all 28 of our member teams that came down during week 2, because without you guys being able to keep yourselves on a good time schedule, our job would have been a lot harder.
Absolutely. And real quickly, I guess one thing I wanted to ask, the sponsors, are teams patronizing the restaurants? Are they getting out there and really showing support to the sponsors and things like that?
Oh, yeah. Anytime we hand teams their press box $10 off gift card, it's like the team does a happy dance. So
cool.
I think since they've been on for so many years now, the teams just kind of expect that that's one of the nights that they'll have down here is to hit up press box. And now that it's March Madness, they enjoy having all the screens to be able to watch the games. I know Rutgers Club Softball, they had one of their games the other night and just went straight there, didn't even change out of their uniforms, and kind of took over. Everyone loves Beach Bar. It's right on the water there, so any teams who are staying at the Godfrey, which is where that restaurant is, they've been utilizing the outdoor seating area, the sand volleyball courts and stuff like that. And yeah, everyone, loves the Circle K Subway. Buy 1 foot long, get one free. I think anytime one of us walks in there, one of the staff members tells us, a story about how the kids are so nice to them when they come in. And so we appreciate them utilizing the sponsors, like you said, and just showing the area some love that we have been partners with for the past 13 years. So.
Absolutely. Well, kudos to you and the staff. Great job down there. I know we still have another week or so left down in Tampa and Alex out west, so things still in full swing. And the last thing before I forget, how can teams social media-wise follow along or get involved?
So we have our own Twitter account for just spring training, and that's Spring Training 2018, and the Twitter handle is CCSSTS 2018. The profile picture on the account is our spring training logo, and it looks like Alex is using the regular NCBA Twitter account to do the updates for the West.
Okay.
You guys can follow along with that there. And then the Weebly, I just update the scores there, but I also post them on Twitter. So there's multiple places where they can keep following along and make sure that they get all the scores and updates that they need.
Perfect. Well, Tracy, thank you for your time. I know you're busy. Stay safe with the tornado warning, and we will be sure to check back with you. I'm sure we'll have you on set next month, but yeah, keep up the good work. Great job.
Thank you, sir. I look forward to reporting back to you and sitting alongside you for next month's Sweet 301.
Sounds good, Tracy. Have a good one.
Yep, you too.
Bye-bye. Thank you, Tracy. She's doing great things. The whole staff down there is doing great things at spring training. I believe the Twitter handle was CCSSTS 2018. So make sure to follow that to keep updated with all these spring training happenings this year down in Tampa and out in Henderson. We are going to take a quick commercial break, and we will be back to talk about NCBA stuff.
The Game is the official headwear sponsor of Cold Club Sports. They offer an early order discount to all of our leagues on top of their already low prices. Go to thegameheadwear.com and check out their wide selection of on-the-field hats, off-the-field boonies, beanies, and visors. Contact Felicia Battaglia at coldclubsports.com for all of your headwear needs.
Avis is the proud rental car partner of Cold Club Sports. From compact cars to 15-passenger vans, Avis has it all. Teams and players receive exclusive pricing and the waiver of the 25 or younger driver fee. For more information on how to reserve your vehicles, contact Alex Kane today. alex.kane@coldclubsports.com.
Welcome back. I'm here with Eric Curator. We're going to be talking NCBA stuff. We'll get into D1, D2, and D3. Let's first, if you don't mind, let's talk D3 stuff.
Okay.
Alex, you'll be speaking on behalf of Alex, who's out in Henderson, Nevada for the Spring Training West. But last month we revealed the location of the D3 National Championship venue and city. I believe the biggest thing now is the hotel contract, which is
Correct.
signed.
Yeah, so I just touched base with him. He said it's signed, and he's going to have the PR out later this week, so he preferred me not to say anything about
okay. All right.
where we're going, the details to it, any information revolving around the hotel contract.
But
so
it is signed.
It is signed. It's in the it's inked. It's official.
Okay,
so,
it's signed.
Yeah.
Yes, the
better
teams
way
just,
to
I
put
guess,
that.
be on the lookout for that, the official host hotel where the 4 teams that are fortunate enough to make the Division III National Championship will stay. Other than that, did he pass along any other information?
No, games are being played. Just check the website for updates. The postseason pages are updated. The World
Yep.
Series page is updated.
I did
so
notice that. Yeah.
Any D3 teams with questions, obviously ask Alex. Other than that, check the website for updates. It's got
Yeah, and
everything on there.
I would definitely have teams check out that the
Postseason
postseason,
tab.
the regional page on D3 because D3 kind of works a little differently than D2 and D1, where
Correct.
the conference winners are actually hosting the playoffs. So I believe all the teams are aware of how that works, but just follow along there. It's a great
resource.
That's what it is.
Resource.
Resourced for the teams to have. So make sure to check that. So let's talk about Division 2. You're headed
DV.
Division 2. What's happening? What's going on? Lots of things.
Lots of games being played. D2, unlike D1, even D3 for that matter, is our season's pushed up a little bit.
Yep.
So our season as a whole is farther along just with games played. So we've only had one team clinch, Cal, which
Okay.
actually came in
Yep.
the fall, ironically.
Yep.
But within the next week or two, we're going to have a lot of teams clinching because we got those regional playoffs the last weekend of April. So every
We
time.
got good weather, at least here in the
Yeah,
Northeast.
definitely. Snow looks good. So
Yeah.
teams will be clinching. We'll be posting them on social media.
Again, check that post regional
post
playoffs
regional
page.
playoff tab, World Series tab for anybody with questions about that. But it'll be coming quick in the next couple of weeks. A lot of teams will be finalizing their spots and
This time next month, it'll be what, like a
World
week
Series
before.
prep show maybe.
Well,
I gotta
yeah,
check
but
the
like
date.
a week before regional
Oh
playoffs
yeah,
for D2.
exactly. So,
All right, well, let's talk about the pools. I know those just came out last Thursday, a couple
Yep.
days ago. What any big movers and shakers? No, Ohio State stayed on top.
big movers. Ohio State's still on top. That's nothing surprising. They've been there, I think, every single week since the initial. I'm seeing the only team that jumped in was Grand Valley State. They had a good fall. I guess a lot of teams that played earlier in the spring dropped down a little bit, so it opened it up for Grand Valley to jump back in. Other than that, I had some ranked matchups I made notes about this past weekend. Number 8 Penn State swept number 16 Akron in a conference series.
Okay, nice.
It's a big deal. And then number 10 Grand Canyon took 2 out of 3 from number 2 San Diego State, which is good for them because those two have gone head-to-head. I believe they're 3-3 against each other within
Okay.
the conference. So that'll that large bid conversation. It's good for them to take 2 out of 3 from San Diego State. So other than that, a lot of spring training games. A lot of these teams down here in the top 20 poll were down in Tampa, which Tracy somewhat touched on, and you can find online too. But a lot of changes will be going on in the next poll, which will be next week. So be on the
Okay.
lookout for that.
And now, as far as playoffs in the World Series, teams know it's in Pittsburgh. The World Series is in Pittsburgh,
Correct.
Kansas. Regional playoffs, those are all done,
Yep.
set in stone. Those are on the the
Yep.
regional playoffs page that teams can check out.
Yep, all teams have been notified. So
Yeah,
everything's on there.
Perfect. Well, seems like D2 is moving along, and
Yeah,
like I said, I mean within
we'll have a regional playoff within a month here,
weeks, yeah.
5 weeks.
crazy.
Yeah, you're telling me. So, other than that, the only thing I wanted to stress, which Savannah already talked about, was
Yes.
the roster freeze.
Yes.
Very big for you guys to make note. April 15th, which I believe is a Sunday this year, Saturday. I know it's on a weekend. Definitely, D1 contact Christian, D2 contact myself, D3 contact Alex. We make 0 exceptions. So definitely check your roster, check it twice. If you got a guy not on there, ask us why he's not on there. We can help you through it.
Yep.
Once April 16th happens, your roster is final. So
12:01,
12:01.
April 16th. A
D-Day.
minute past. I
Yep.
guess kind of technically 2 minutes past,
Yeah.
maybe.
Matters
It's
how you
too
look
late.
at it. Yeah.
Yes,
So
it's too late. So
keep that in mind. We always get emails, phone calls.
Yeah.
Why can't I add
Making
this
an exception.
guy?
We're not going to do it.
Can't do it.
We're not going to do it. You have plenty of time right now. If a guy comes on late, maybe next week or so, just make sure to get in touch with us ASAP, because April 15th is 3 weeks away or so.
Yep.
So it's important to get that done, so that roster's locked for postseason and things like
Mhm.
that. So,
Yeah. So that's about it on D2. I guess
Well,
let's
good.
turn the table around a little bit.
Oh.
D1. What's going on?
D1 mirrors D2. I mean, we're right in the heart of the season. Lots of games going on. Spring training, tons of games going on. All those scores have been posted as they happen, so you can check the schedules page. Scores are being updated as we speak. Unlike D2, we don't have any teams clinched postseason spots yet, but I'm sure we will here shortly. So make sure to just check the website. The website's a great tool for teams that I don't think they utilize as much as they should. Standings, schedules, everything, official documents. Make sure you're on there checking things out like that, because there are lots of things going on. We do have a pool coming out this Thursday. this past week, I guess not this past Thursday, but the Thursday prior, which I believe was the week 16 pool, East Carolina stayed on top of the pools, and that pool was very they kind of pulled away, so to speak. The week before, it was really tight between them and Texas State. Texas State kind of faltered a little bit. They actually had more first place votes than ECU, but they lost, I think, a couple games down in the Gulf Coast. So, and ECU just went on a tear as far as non-conference games go. So ECU kind of pulled away with that number 1 ranking. But what you really see with these top 20 polls, the preseason poll, it's like, everybody gets a vote. I mean, it's like, this big others receiving votes is this huge list, and now it's teams are playing and the voters are able to see kind of how teams are playing. That others receiving votes list gets smaller and smaller, and so it's really kind of in full swing right now, where it's really showing
plays
the
itself
top
out.
team. Exactly, the top team. So make sure to tune in on Thursday on the website, Facebook, all social media, because the D1 polls will be coming out. To see who comes out on top. Is it going to be ECU? Is it going to be somebody new for this for the first time this year? So stay tuned for that. As we talked about baseball, the D1 regionals, they are all set, every single one, all 8 locations, fields. So make sure you're checking that postseason tab. It's a new feature we have. I think it's this year we've had. Or no, it was there last year.
We spruced it up this year.
Yeah, spruced it up a little bit this year. Make sure you're checking that. I tell teams, at least my North Atlantic teams, to check that, because updates are always being posted on there. If it's a hotel or just anything that's updated, we try and populate that as much as possible. So check that. All the regionals are set. The World Series, obviously, we're going back to Holly Springs down at, it's called Ting Stadium. It's the same stadium we were at last year, just got a new name. We'll be back there this year. I know the teams loved it down there. We had a great event there last year, so we'll be back there in 2018. And any updates as far as World Series goes will be posted to the World Series page. So lots happening.
That about covers it.
That about covers it. I think the big thing is check the website. Get on the website, browse, peruse, do all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, one thing just to add real quick on the D1 and D3 level too, I guess, is assume you're going to make the playoffs. Plan for it. The last thing you want to do is get caught off surprise at the end of the year. Budget for it.
Yes.
Ask questions about, obviously check the information on the website where it's going to be and whatnot, but start planning now. It's going to be here before you know it, and the last thing you want to do is qualify the week of and then
have to ask mom and dad.
Yeah, mommy, daddy, I need money.
Yeah.
Not going to work.
So yeah, and that transition good. We have fundraiser, FUNDRAZR.
See what you did there.
Official fundraiser of the NCBA. Tracy Reardon runs that as well. Set up what's it called?
Campaign.
A campaign. Set up a campaign.
It takes 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
So yeah, very good point. Thank you, Eric, for all your knowledge. We are going to, I believe we're going to take another commercial break, and we will be back to talk NCBBA basketball, baby.
Rawlings is proud to be partnered with Call Club Sports. If your team is in need of any products that Rawlings has to offer, contact us today. Rawlings, the finest in the field.
Wilson is proud to be partnered with Cole Club Sports. Whether it be footballs, basketballs, or baseball bats from Dean Marini and Louisville Slugger, Wilson has it all. If your team has any needs for Wilson products, contact us today.
Back. Hey, I'm Sandy Sanderson, president of the National Club Basketball Association. I believe we're going to talk some basketball.
We are.
It's March Madness, baby. How's your bracket doing?
Didn't fill one out.
No?
But I'm sure if I did, it would be busted.
Yeah. I did a quick glance, and
yours
what? Well, I don't have a ballot. A ballot. I don't have a bracket either. But I managed to call our good friend Wes McCoubrey, diehard UVA fan, the other day.
Rubbing
not
in a little
even
bit?
really, not even realizing that they had lost.
Oh, really?
Yet, and he was in tears on the phone. It was a sad story. So,
Yeah, they
poor
got
Wes,
whooped up.
But,
Shavickas.
I did manage. We had Pittsburgh hosted some games, so I managed to. Thanks
You
to
didn't
my,
hear what I said, did you?
No.
Shavickas.
Shavickas.
That's the ultimate.
Excellent. Shavickas.
That's the
excellent.
ultimate Shavickas.
That is the ultimate Shavickas. Thanks to my wife, we scored some tickets to the basketball games. So
I think yeah,
got to
yeah.
take my sons down to
Nice.
PPG Paints Arena. We got to see Villanova play against who they played. They played Alabama, and we
Okay.
saw Duke play URI.
Nice.
So I got to see two real good basketball teams, and it was a great experience for the boys. So
Good.
But hey, it's club basketball
It
postseason
is.
now, and we've got 28 teams playing postseason basketball this
Okay.
weekend. So lots on the plate, lots to compete.
Well,
for.
who's in? Any surprises?
Plenty of surprises, plenty of them. You want me to run through the
Sure.
docket of our postseason activities? We'll start off in New England, the New England region being hosted at Harvard. We've got Harvard versus Holy Cross to open up the tournament this Saturday, 6 p.m. And then the 8 p.m. the night game on Saturday is Fairfield versus Boston College. Boston College was the at-large bid into that mix. Harvard, obviously being the top seed of the conference winners up in New England, got to host. They've been able to secure their varsity court for these
Nice.
games, so should be a great experience for everybody involved. You know, Holy Cross and Fairfield aren't big-name schools. And Harvard, everybody knows Harvard, but again, it's not a big school. Boston College, big school. Very curious to see what Holy Cross and Fairfield do this weekend, as you know, both teams have had great seasons thus far, and see how they compete against these other opponents. Boston College, another team that got the at-large bid. They took, I believe, 2 of 3 from Harvard in the regular season, but Harvard's been on fire since, just basically mowing down everybody they come across.
Getting
on the
hot
court.
at the right time.
Yep, exactly, and earned themselves the right to host. So good for them, and we'll see how that plays out. Next, moving to the North Atlantic, we've got Syracuse, number 3 team in the country right now. Harvard currently at number 5. Syracuse is hosting the North Atlantic Regional, which will feature, they'll open up with Kent State on Saturday, and then WVU and Ithaca will play Game 2 on Saturday as well. Syracuse has spent most of the season ranked number 1 in the
Yep.
NCBBA. However, they dropped 2 games late in the season to Ithaca, and it wasn't enough for Ithaca to overpass them for the number 1 for the conference title, but it was enough to move Syracuse out of the number 1 spot in the rankings. So very interested to see how those 2 teams play turn out. Very excited to see what a Syracuse-WVU matchup might look like. I think WVU is very underrated, not even ranked in the top 20, and they just had a very impressive weekend. We'll get into more about that when we get Coach Otley on the phone from WVU. And then, Kent State, they, a couple weeks ago, they sent the email like, hey, it's been a great season, thanks so much. I said, hey, if week 20 gets a little crazy, you're not mathematically out of it. And week 20 got crazy and got Kent State in.
Wow.
So, they got this spring break surprise on them, and they're pretty pumped about
Good for them.
getting to the postseason for the first time in their program history. They got some good wins on their resume, against Pitt and WVU, but I think they just didn't realize that they looked at themselves as, hey, we beat some of the perennial powerhouses in a game or two. They didn't realize they'd actually put them far enough ahead to get into the postseason. Mid-Atlantic-wise, Princeton gets to host that. Princeton currently ranked at 10 spot. They'll open up on Saturday with St. Joe's, and then Towson and St. John's. St. John's being the at-large to that regional as well. St. John's is was actually currently ranked number 6 in the country. Was kind of the perennial powerhouse in that region, going to the national championship last year, and going into the last weekend of the season, Princeton swept them. So really kind of threw a big wrench into the mix, sort of stealing St. John's thunder and earning the right to host regionals. South Atlantic, we've got Coastal Carolina opening up on Saturday versus South Carolina, and then the afternoon game on Saturday, George Mason versus East Carolina. This all being hosted at Coastal Carolina. Very interesting the way this is played out down there. Coastal is basically undefeated on the season. However, they had to forfeit a 3-game series to South Carolina because their president was in the hospital. Coastal's president had something happen with him. He was in the hospital. Nobody on the team really knew how to step up and execute a basketball weekend without him. And so they basically had to just tell South Carolina, look, we can't play. We have nobody to organize us this weekend. But Coastal, so that put Coastal behind the 8 ball. They had to basically run the table in order to get into the playoffs, and they did so, and were able to. They have held a tiebreaker over ECU, having taken 2 of 3, and so Coastal got themselves back into the playoff picture and got themselves the right to vote. George Mason, brand new team, real nice job through the South Atlantic North this year, taking that conference title. Don't know much about them. Again, first-year team. We'll see. I'm very anxious to see how they match up with ECU in their opening round game down there, because ECU, 2-time national champion, always a quality program. In all club sports. You see it on the baseball side. So very interested to see how that works out. Georgetown was actually the runner-up in the North, and it earned their right in. They basically had to sweep Maryland last weekend to leapfrog over George Washington to be the number 2 spot. Unfortunately, in the process of sweeping Maryland, they had 4 guys sustain serious injuries and basically had to bow out of regionals. They didn't have enough healthy bodies to even field a team to go down to Coastal and play. So it opened up the spot for an at-large bid in the South Atlantic Regional Tournament, and that's where South Carolina was able to get in. Into the Great Lakes we go. This being hosted at Ohio State, the new number 1 team in the country. All season long, they were ranked high. Up to these last polls, they took over the number 1 spot, thanks to Syracuse dropping a couple games and falling out. So Columbus will be the site for the Great Lakes Regional. Ohio State will square off with Central Michigan in the first round. Michigan on the other side versus Wittenberg, a school that's had an impressive season. Small school. Not one that you normally would think of in Division I sports to be competitive in the postseason, but they've had a very impressive season, earned themselves a number 2 spot in the South, and they'll square off with Michigan. So we're on, barring upsets, we're on pace for an Ohio State versus Michigan Great Lakes Regional Championship, and we always know how those 2 schools love each other. So that could be fun. If you're in the Columbus area, go check that out. Mid-America, SIU Edwardsville. Again, they've secured their varsity facility to host this event, so excited about that. They'll start off on Saturday versus Purdue, SIUE versus Purdue, and Game 2 will be in University of Indiana versus Iowa State. Indiana, SIUE, both new teams in the league this year, both having great seasons. Purdue, reigning national champion, had to battle their way, after suffering some losses to Indiana in regular season play, had to battle their way up to this number 2 spot to get in. But they're in. Iowa State's kind of perennial playoff team out there, so they're going to have Indiana's going to have their hands full, and SIUE, while being strong and undefeated all season, they've got the reigning national champions coming in their back door, knowing how to play postseason basketball. So we'll see how that plays out. Very exciting. And then last but not least, the Southern Pacific region being hosted at Grand Canyon University. This weekend, Grand Canyon opens up with Cal Poly, and then the afternoon game is UCLA versus Arizona State. Arizona State being the at-large bid there. I'm very excited to see the UCLA-ASU matchup. I think that's going to be a really good competition. ASU was right there with Grand Canyon battling for the East title. Having defeated Grand Canyon 1 out of 3, and every matchup being close. UCLA pretty much just did work on the west side. So I think that's going to be a really good contest there. Cal Poly has secretly been under the radar for much of the season, I think, in the North, putting together an undefeated season. Again, with the Southern Pacific being an entirely new region to us this year, and Cal Poly really having no history on the books with the NCBBA, I think the voters have just sort of been hesitant to rank them. But they put together an impressive undefeated season, and now they've got themselves into the big stage and have a chance to make history and really make a mark for their program with the opening round game versus Grand Canyon. So
Good for them.
lots of fun in store for this weekend. I'll be playing air traffic controller. You know what that means?
Yes,
Basically
I do.
sitting around the laptop, getting text messages on score updates, getting those posted and put out on social media. And as Sunday rolls around and we get teams clinching, we'll get invitate announcements out and get those teams situated for their trip to South Bend. And should be a wild weekend. And I'm excited for all the teams that are playing this weekend. It should
Absolutely.
be fun playoff basketball.
Should be fun playoff basketball. The winners are going to be heading to South Bend to earn the right to lift that banner up in a big trophy. So,
Yes, a big trophy.
but yeah, regionals is obviously a big weekend. You mentioned in I believe the North Atlantic Regional, we have West Virginia playing. They're opening up against, you said Syracuse, correct?
They're opening up against Ithaca.
Ithaca
At
okay.
Syracuse.
At Syracuse. So we have Jason Otley coming on the line to talk about their upcoming regional matchup.
And I actually want to talk to him about this past weekend because it was really impressive what they had to get accomplished to put themselves in the position they are. And all right, Coach Otley, how you doing today?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
We're doing excellent. Welcome to Suite 301. I believe this is your first appearance on the show, correct?
It is my first appearance. I feel like a key.
Hey, that's okay. Well, you know, it's your first year coaching in the NCBBA, and you're obviously doing things the right way. You got your team in the playoffs, got them into a conference title, and now going after a regional title.
Yes, absolutely. And we're excited. I can't tell who's more excited, them or me, but I know there's a lot of excitement in the room.
Now, I'm gonna blow some smoke for you here in a second, just to give the listeners at home a little lesson on what it means to be a good coach in the NCBBA. You know, Coach Otley here. You know, as soon as he got the role as head coach for WVU, he contacts me. He's like, Sandy, first year in the league for me. Team's been around. What do I need to do? What do I, paperwork? When's the deadline? When do I got to get this in? He checks. Hey, did you get this? He's on top of everything. He wants to make sure every I's dotted, every T's crossed. Doing a fantastic job off the court there, and then obviously you're doing a great job on the court. So congratulations on that. Before we get started talking about this coming weekend, let's talk about last weekend because you guys were, neck and neck with Pitt going into this big weekend of 3 games. Plus you had a makeup game with Robert Morris on the schedule, where if you guys didn't perform, you were in a position to be left out of the postseason. You controlled your own destiny. You could work your way out of the playoffs into the number 2 spot or all the way to the conference title, and you managed to put up 3 big wins against Pitt and then not suffer a letdown against Robert Morris on Sunday and went for the 4-game sweep over the weekend. How'd you keep your boys up for everything?
You know what, Sandy? My boys have been up for everything since day one. I think we were really the Cinderella team. They were a bad team last year. Like as you said already, my first year with the team and my first year with the league, and so we did a lot of things different than had been taking place prior to me coming on. And so from practice number 1, right after our tryouts, what my assistant coach Jermaine and I said to the team was, we are a championship team. And so if the championship is not in your sights, then this is not the team for you. And so we had been preaching that since day one. And so our guys knew going into Pittsburgh that there was no other option but to win.
Outstanding. Now, what do you attribute to the success of the team? Are you an offensive-minded team, sound defensively? Is it you got a couple stars that just can't be stopped? What's been the key to your success?
Team chemistry. We have a lot of scorers, and so scoring is not a problem for us. If you guys look at the stats, we led our conference, and there's a few other conferences where we led in scoring. We know how to put the ball in the hole. But at the end of the day, that's not what wins championships. And so we've worked all season on chemistry, and that means spending time together. So there'll be times that we have outings outside of basketball, whether it's a mandatory hall, whether it's a team dinner, whether it's a weekend at the movies. Our success has come from the more time that our guys spend with one another, the better we are on the court.
Outstanding. And as a former club sport athlete myself, that was one of the things I would say that gave us success. I played club baseball at Penn State. our team was very tight, still is to this day. Even though we were 20 years removed from our playing days, but that's what gave us a lot of fuel to win and success and being able to rely on each other. So I fully embrace that idea that team chemistry can take you a lot further than some people realize.
Right, absolutely.
I know, you're currently just outside the top 20 right now, but you've done an impressive weekend worth of work since the last polls came out. We got new polls coming out next week on Monday, but the rankings aren't that important. What's important is going to Syracuse and getting the job done. How are you and the guys getting ready for your opening round matchup versus Ithaca?
You know what, Sandy? We just got some snow today, and they're calling for more snow tomorrow, and so that's how life would be, right? You hit the challenges head on, and you figure out how to get above it, through it, or underneath it. And so we are just finding ways in which to get into the gym despite all the snow that's here, and we're hoping that Syracuse has some snow too. so all 4 teams this weekend will have limited amount of practice time, and I think that just gives us an edge too, because like we mentioned earlier, that our guys are so close knit. They're so hungry for success. We're on a 7-game win streak, and so we don't want to let down now. We don't want to let off the pedal at all. And so we'll practice a couple of times this week. If we get into the gym despite the snow, go over some of our plays, and just really spend some time with one another. Spring break was last week, and so we didn't really spend much time. Most of the guys were gone the entire spring break, but now that we're all back, it's a good opportunity for us to kind of rekindle the flame.
All right, sounds good. And you got a tough opening round matchup versus Ithaca, who had some impressive conference games against defeating Syracuse, a team that's been number 1 in the country basically the whole season up until last week, and Ithaca took care of them. So be sure to bring your A game, because that's a team that's capable of beating anybody any day.
Yeah, absolutely. We told the guys last night, we had a team meeting. We said we got this. Let's look at how well we've done it every first game in every series we played, and we have won 85% of our game won. And so we only get one shot at Ithaca and one shot at Syracuse, and so we have to make sure that we bring it, like you said, our A game on game number 1, because that's all we get.
All right, Coach. Well, best of luck this weekend up in Syracuse, and who knows, maybe we'll be seeing you in South Bend in a few weeks.
I hope so. I do appreciate the call, man. Thank you.
Absolutely. Take care.
You too.
All right. There you go. Coach Jason Otley. And I'll tell you what, I am very impressed with him, his off-court. He wants to make sure every I's dotted, T's crossed. It's great. I wish more people were like that.
We appreciate that. As front office employees, we appreciate that.
Right.
Big time.
When people, are paying attention to the details, hitting deadlines,
communicating,
asking questions when they question.
Yep.
They just, he's got a goal. He said, we're good at basketball, and if we do things right, we can win a national title. So he's making sure on every level they're doing things right. And again, you experience it in baseball. On the basketball side, love it. Hope more people can emulate what he's doing over there. So
well, good. Well, I see you have the polls out. Do you want to run through those real quick?
We can run through them. Ohio State number 1, SIU Edwardsville number 2, Syracuse drops to number 3, Michigan number 4. So that Ohio State Michigan game could be a big 1-4 matchup if it comes to fruition. Harvard at 5, St. Paul's to 6, ECU jumps from 14 to 7, Boston College down to 8, Coastal Carolina down to 9. Princeton wasn't previously ranked. They jumped in at 10. Grand Canyon's at 11. Fairfield up from 17 to 12. Arizona State at 13. Brown fell from 11 to 14. UCLA 18 to 15. Indiana's at 16. Towson's at 17. St. Joe's, after suffering some late season losses, but still got into the postseason, they're down to 18. Pitt currently at 19, and South Carolina at 20. So that's our current polls. Again, new polls will come out Monday.
Okay.
Normally polls come out on Thursdays, but because after these regional playoffs, We got to get seating out, things like that for the national championship. We're gonna accelerate, when the polls are released. So look for the new polls rankings to come out on Monday.
Perfect. And national championship, any updates as far as that goes? I mean, the teams obviously know it's in South Bend. Anything else that they need to be?
South Bend, I mean, one of the, for teams that haven't been there before, once again, we've got Ryan Norris heading up the PA, or not, excuse me, you're doing the PA. Norris is doing the play-by-play, which will be broadcast over our Facebook group, Facebook Live, and he's going to have reigning former national champion. His guest color man will be former national champion from Purdue University, Scott Chema.
My roommate.
Your roommate?
Yes.
Oh, you got the rooming assignments for the staff? So he'll be, those guys will be on the radio doing the play-by-play. And, so teams, as they clinch their spots, those guys will be reaching out to them, wanting to do interviews, wanting to get some information so they know what they can talk about the teams while they're doing their broadcasts. So we've got that. We've got a great facility. I think one of the unique things about this facility is it has 2 auxiliary courts. So teams are going to have plenty of warm-up. They're going to have their own space to warm up while a game's going on. They can warm up for their game while the current game's still in session. Skills competition on Saturday morning. Tournament All-Star game on Saturday, I believe. It should be a great weekend of basketball. And for those who have never been to South Bend, obviously Notre Dame University's there, so you've got that situation in the background. But it's a college town. Lots of good college bars, good spots to grab a slice of pizza and a beer, if that's your thing.
It's not mine.
It's not yours?
Nope.
Okay. Well, it's my thing.
Okay.
So, but lots of good stuff to do, college town-ish. Not to mention, it's Notre Dame. A lot of people want to just go check out the facilities there and see them. So.
Well, cool. Lots of big things happening there. I'm excited to get out there for just here in a couple weeks. One other thing I wanted to talk to you about: we have a new uniform sponsor for basketball.
That's right, Phenom Elite just came on, I believe, last week. We inked the deal, I think, 2 weeks ago. Got the press release out last week. A company that we've partnered with on the football side. They make uniforms, football receivers, gloves, things like that, and they also have a basketball line, sublimated basketball uniforms. So we're excited to partner with them. We've quickly developed this real nice relationship with them through club football, and when they presented their offerings on the basketball side, we thought this is a great partnership, right? And for the future, and we brought them on board. So. Teams that are looking for uniforms, obviously, we're in postseason now, but teams that are looking for next year, whether it be to replace some uniforms, upgrade their uniforms, maybe get a set of home or aways, or new teams in development that are looking for uniforms, Phenom Elite is going to put together a nice package for you. All NCBBA member teams get a 15% discount off their orders through them. You can go to the NCBBA website, click on sponsors. You can read the press release right there for Phenom Elite. Nathan Dorton is our contact over there. He'll take great care of you. I know he's already got people, kind of do some mock-up, artistic mock-ups of what their uniforms could look like and things like that. So contact Nathan, get a price quote, get some mock-ups done so you can get a plan going for next year. But they'll definitely take care of you over there.
Boom. Anything else happening basketball-related you need out there?
All region nominations were due yesterday. So if you didn't nominate your players for all region consideration,
let's be clear.
If you didn't nominate anybody, if you didn't fill out the little Excel file that says, "Hey, I think this is our best point guard," you should look at him as all. He's not going to get looked at. The due date was yesterday at midnight for nominations. I'll bet if you wink at your regional director, you can probably get another nomination form in today before we start hammering out who's going to win the all region awards, which will then feed into the All-American awards. So the league meeting, which is already been set for Wednesday, April 25th, 7 p.m. Eastern time, right here on Facebook Live. It'll be a very similar setup to this. You can watch, you can type in questions, ask things like that. It's a great opportunity to hear what's going with the plan moving forward, and to propose rule changes and things like that to make the 18-19 season even better than the 17-18 was.
Yeah, it's a great I like the format. It has got great reach to the teams. Everybody from out west to right here in Pittsburgh can tune in. So
I'm a little like the brick and mortar, sit
Yeah.
at the same table meetings, but the reality is, when you got over 100 teams, you can't get enough
Yeah.
of them to travel to a neutral site to physically meet. So at least this is a way everybody, for the cost of just a little bit of their time, can participate.
absolutely. So you said that was April 5th?
April 25th. Wednesday, April 25th, 7 p.m. Eastern Time.
Make sure you tune into that. If you don't have anything else, that is our NCBBA talk for this month. Obviously, a huge weekend with regionals, and then in a couple short couple about we'll be down in South Bend doing the national championship, and then this time next month we'll have a national champion. So
Yep, absolutely. What's the key term right now? Hashtag Road South Bend. There you go.
it's
I don't even-
pound sign.
Pound sign. Tic-tac-toe board.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Fundraiser is the official fundraising platform of Cole Club Sports. Teams have the opportunity to create a free online campaign to begin accepting donations in hopes of reaching their fundraising goals. Please be sure to contact Cole Club Sports for more information on this amazing platform for all of your team's fundraising needs.
Motel 6 is the proud lodging partner of Cole Club Sports. All teams, players, and fans receive 10% off the best available nightly rate. For more information on how to book your rooms, contact Alex Kane today. alex.kane@coleclubsports.com.
falls in a forest.
All right, we're back. Hey, we're going to touch base on the NCFA real quick, National Club Association. Not a whole lot to talk about. It's the off season. Schedules are out. Rules are updated. Just the
Great. Let's get clear.
the important thing to do is you're scheduling your non-conference games. Be sure to get those over to your conference coordinator so they can get incorporated into the website. So, NCFA. Take us out, Christian.
Hey, that's our show for this month. Thanks so much for tuning into this episode of Suite 301. Always, don't forget to follow us on our Twitter and Facebook pages.
Yes, next episode will be Tuesday, April 17th at 3:01 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on Then catch up again on everything that's happening around Cole Club Sports. Again, we'll have a basketball national champion. We'll have some, playoff pictures ironing out for baseball and softball. So all good things. All right, well that's it. Don't forget,
It's a game. Have fun.
Have fun.